very chilling. First of all, to hear we have an officer down, and secondly, that it was at a school.
A shooting inside an East Tennessee school leaves a police officer wounded and the student shooter dead.
Shooting happened right outside her classroom door. She actually has to hear this and hear people saying, "Put your hands up."
Parents describe the chaotic scene while this community mourns yet another teen death, 5 since the start of this year. We have a live report with the latest on the investigation and what the city is doing to stop the violence.
10 News is brought to you in high definition exclusively by Toyota and Lexus of Knoxville. WBIR 10 News starts now.
5 people that you used to see walk down the hall, 5 people that you ate lunch with, 5 people that you played ball with, and all of them are gone. Can you imagine trying to figure out how am I going to graduate thinking about that?
Tonight, a school and a community are dealing with the fallout from another shooting involving a student. Authorities say one student, who they say is the suspect in the shooting, is dead and an officer is hurt. Our team coverage continues tonight in East Knoxville. We begin with 10 News anchor John Becker live on the scene. John.
Robin, as you know, the heartbreak extends far beyond this school community of about 650 students at AE and the 150 staffers. It really touches all of Knoxville because this is another young person dead, and this is another case of gun violence. We have seen far too much, and that is what the community is underlining tonight. We will hear from them. We'll also get an update from investigators, but we begin our coverage with 10 News reporter Cole Sullivan with more from the superintendent and his words late tonight. Cole?
John, this is new, just in from the superintendent within the last hour. I'm going to read part of his statement to you. He says he's cooperating with the TBI investigation. The school district is cooperating with the TBI investigation. Bob Thomas also says we continue to keep the school community in our thoughts and prayers as we grieve the losses they've endured. He also expresses gratitude to KPD and says his prayers are with the KPD officer who was wounded. Right now outside Austin East, it's a lot quieter than it was earlier today when we arrived on scene shortly after 3:30. The shooting began around 3:15, and dozens and dozens of law enforcement agencies responded to this. Law enforcement officers responded to the scene. Now the crime scene tape is down, a far cry from how it all unfolded earlier today.
It just said somebody got shot.
Video from outside captures the chaotic scene as the shooting unfolded. It started at 3:15, just as students began to leave for the day. KPD officers responded to reports someone had a gun at Austin East.
Upon arrival, officers located the individual in the school in a restroom. They ordered him out, but he refused to comply.
That's when the TBI says the student shot and hit the KPD officer in the leg. You can see paramedics bringing a stretcher toward the school.
He is in serious condition and is currently in surgery.
The TBI says officers returned fire, shooting and killing the male Austin East student. Police have not released his name nor the name of the officer shot. In just minutes, dozens of officers descended on East Knoxville and a sheriff's office helicopter circled low overhead.
It was just very chilling. First of all, to hear we have an officer down, and secondly, that it was at a school.
Police now indicate just one suspect who is dead at the scene. Despite initial reports, officers detained someone else.
If anyone was detained, it's more than likely witness type of information.
TBI agents will take over investigating what happened. The police chief calls it a sad day for Knoxville.
Our worst fear is an active shooter in a school. Those are our kids. Most of us are parents.
And Chief Thomas says she was leaving that press conference around the 8 o'clock hour to go straight to UT Medical Center and check in on that officer. Initially, KPD described his injuries as not life-threatening. John?
Some encouraging news tonight. Cole Sullivan leading our coverage tonight. We want to turn to a different angle as we saw law enforcement officers rush to these school grounds. We saw parents rush in as well to see if their children were okay. We picked that story up with 10 News reporter Grace King.
8 weeks ago, we stood in this exact spot to remember the life of Stanley Freeman Jr. A couple days later, we stood in this spot to remember the life of Janaria Muhammad. And those are just 2 of the 4 Austin East students killed by community gun violence in the past few months. The community members I spoke to said enough is enough, that something has to change because they're worried about the impact all this violence has on their kids' mental health.
Shooting happened right outside her classroom door. She actually has to hear this and hear people saying, put your hands up, good down. So these kids are going to be messed up, and it's a shame that we cannot send our kids to school and have to worry about them.
Just send up prayers for Austin East, the students, faculty, staff, whatever may happen. But as far as Knox County and KPD, they got to do a better job at this.
Austin East will be closed tomorrow and Wednesday, but counseling will still be available for students who need it. Back to you.
And we're back out with our team coverage and bring in reporter Katie Inman, who spoke with members of this community. As I mentioned, the heartbreak extending well beyond these school grounds. Katie.
Yeah, the East Knoxville community is hurting. They say it's like a wound that keeps reopening. And for those community members and organizations that focus on pouring into these young people, they say the events today are personal.
For that to happen, and over there, and then what it do is give it a black eye.
As police cars line the streets in front of Austin East Monday, just down the street at Safe Haven House, the staff couldn't believe what they heard.
Tragic situation, sad, because Austin East has a lot of history.
Safe Haven focuses on building young people up so violence like this doesn't happen.
And what we do is we bring them in so they can fellowship with one another, love one another, and we believe that if they do that, they ain't gonna want to kill one another.
There's still a lot of questions they want answered, but they're confident the school can rise above the strife.
It's just a tragic thing, but I just want everybody to know that, you know, Austin East is still alive.
To stop the violence, these men say it's all about bringing the right people to the table.
You know, in order to try to put a dent in this violence and stuff like that, you gotta talk with the folks that's dealing in the violence, that's in the violence.
It's a wound that keeps reopening for a community that's already gone through so much.
The thing about it is we over here at East Knoxville, we're gonna rise above this and we're gonna stand strong because together we will make a difference and an impact.
The community is frustrated and still looking for those answers in the coming days and weeks. Overall, everyone that I spoke to today said they're sending their thoughts and prayers to the whole East Knoxville community. John.
Katie Inman with more of our live coverage tonight. Just to underline, Robin, as you know, we have seen since the start of this year, this community mourning the loss of one person at least every month since the start of 2021. Here are their names, and we have sadly said them too often. 16-year-old Stanley Freeman Jr., that was in January. 15-year-old Justin Taylor, he died in February. 15-year-old Janaria Muhammad just 4 days later, also in February. And 15-year-old Jamarian Gillette in March. Pastor Daryl Arnold of Overcoming Believers Church led the funerals for 3 of those 4 students.
I haven't just buried 3 children. People think that because I've buried them back to back in about 3 or 4 weeks, but I'm on more children that I've put in boxes that I can even remember. I don't have the answer.
Does anybody?
Nobody has the answer individually, but as we come together corporately in Cornelia as a family, as a community.
And I like how you said one community.
One community.
This is all of us, and it's going to take all of us to solve it and to protect our young people. They deserve that.
Can you imagine, Bill, going to school tomorrow or the next day or next week dealing with 5 people that you used to see walk down the hall, 5 people that you ate lunch with, 5 people that you played ball with, and all of them are gone? Can you imagine trying to figure out how am I going to graduate thinking about that? How am I going to pass this test thinking about that? So we've got to do whatever we can to really to undergird our families and our children. We got to hug them tighter. That would be my challenge to you who are watching. Hug your child tighter tonight. Pray longer. Don't let them leave the house without saying I love you, because I've learned that you can drop your child off on the bus stop and have to pick them up in a body bag.
Excruciating words there from Pastor Daryl Arnold. He and other faith leaders across Knoxville are hosting a citywide prayer meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at Overcoming Believers Church. And again, everyone in the community is welcome. We heard from a prominent alum from AE today. He represents this community in the State House in Nashville. Sam McKenzie is heartbroken, and you can hear it in his voice.
Like, this can't be happening again, but much to my dismay, here we are looking at another student dead, potentially, I'm hearing, but just a bad situation. It's been a bad year, but I think what we're going to have to do is just, we're going to have to go in and just take our kids back. It's a community issue. You know, we gotta ask our parents to step up. Gotta ask our leaders like me to step up. We gotta keep pushing. We gotta ask our students, those who are out there doing the wrong things, to turn and just not do it. And so it's a collective. There's a lot of energy in the community right now to just make things better.
Again, more of our coverage is online right now at WBIR.com. There you will find community reaction, more details about the TBI investigation into this officer-involved shooting inside a school, and what we know about the officer who was shot at this point. No names have been released at this point. Again, Robin, we're going to have more of our coverage when we come back, but I'll send it back to you for now.
Another difficult day. All right, John, thank you. And coming up, people from across the state and the U.S. are reacting to the shooting this afternoon, their response to what happened, plus hear from Knoxville City and Knox County school leaders next. We are continuing our team coverage tonight of a shooting at Austin East High School earlier today. A student was killed and a Knoxville police officer was wounded. That officer is expected to be okay. Multiple agencies, as you can see, responded to the scene. 10 News anchor John Becker is joining us live from the scene. And John, we've also seen reaction from across the state and the U.S. today concerning the shooting.
We have, Robin, as you know, just as news of this shooting was breaking, this officer-involved shooting involving an officer and a student at this school, Governor Lee was taking the podium to talk about education, and he spoke about the events unfolding in Knoxville.
And ask for you all to, for those who are watching online or otherwise, to pray for that situation and for the families and the victims that might be affected by that in our state.
As we know, gun violence, and especially gun violence in young people, has been a top priority of community leaders really since the start of 2021, given what we have seen on the streets so far this year. We heard from Bob Thomas, superintendent of schools, and also Mayor India Kincannon tonight about that very topic. Here is Jacinta Rinder.
The press conference was brief. However, Superintendent Bob Thomas and Mayor India Kincannon both shared how devastating this is on the community, as there have been a number of shootings at Austin East High School.
And again, our thoughts and our prayers go out to the families, our students, and our community.
I'm so sad that we are here today at the scene of another violent attack on the peacekeeping people of our community.
Now, schools will be closed Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, but counselors will be in the building helping kids deal and cope with the loss of another student. I'm Jacinta Rinder in Knoxville.
Thank you, Jacinta, for that part of a coverage. And we did hear from Governor Bill Lee earlier, also some other prominent members of the political community reacting to this shooting. We heard from Congressman Tim Burchett about his thoughts on this shooting. Also, Senator Marsha Blackburn The other senator as well reacting in the Bill Hagerty of the state of Tennessee reacting with his sadness, and also Vol for Life former quarterback of the football team Josh Dobbs talking about the prayers that he has for this community. One detailed part of this investigation will involve a federal agency, and that is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms, and want to spend just a moment on that and why they're involved in this investigation. ATF agents will work with Knoxville police in the investigation. They're going to focus on tracing the firearms and recovering any shell casings that were involved in this shooting, and then plug them into a national database to see if there are any connections to recent shootings. Firearms examiners will conduct some microscopic examination of the evidence. They'll confirm a hit if they have one on data compiled into intelligence reports. So it is quite a detailed effort by the ATF. Again, they are involved in this heavily right now at the front end. Now, as you know, the city of Knoxville is already working on a plan to solve this gun violence problem that we have among young people that we have certainly seen over the last few months and weeks. And City Council recently approved $1 million. We want to spend just a moment talking more about that effort. The city of Knoxville already working on it. $75,000 will go to Cities United. That is a group that combats gun violence in communities across the country. Andre Conti, who works with that organization, grew up in Knoxville. He says with the recent spike in violence, it is time to come back and help prevent other shootings like we have seen in the past few weeks.
So that sense of anger around not just the killings, but the framing of those killings, share language about what violence reduction really means from prevention. Right, so that's preventing violence from occurring, but also prevention when it happens, what should happen, right? So they build the infrastructure.
Again, that's Andre Conti with Cities United. He is planning to invest even more than he already has in the city of Knoxville to prevent further violence. They have intervened in some 100 cities across the country, and as Robin, as you know, this has been very much a community issue, and this is one way that leaders hope they can put an end to it. I'm going to send it back to you for now.
And we will continue to follow their efforts. John, thank you. We turn now to your forecast. We are seeing a clear night. Nice day today, Todd, but those temperatures are going to just start trending down as the week goes on.
Yes, they are. We started this week well above the average high temperature of 69. We hit 79 today, 10 degrees above the average. Here's a look at your Tuesday at a glance. Hope you're having a good, safe night. In the morning, a comfortable start, 48 degrees, 68 at noontime. More clouds tomorrow, partly to variably cloudy. May even squeeze out a few isolated showers floating by. Not a lot expected as far as that goes. Mild temperatures by 5 p.m., 73 degrees, the expected high. So 48 for the low, 73 for the high. Not quite as warm as today's 79, but still pretty mild. Now, one more mild day tomorrow, then we'll start to see some changes by midweek Wednesday. Some rain showers increasing. Then we'll talk about some of that cooler weather heading our way later on. We have high clouds increasing across the region right now. Those will continue as we head through the overnight into your Tuesday. So again, a little bit more cloud cover, maybe a few isolated showers floating on by here and there. Not a lot expected. If we see those, better chances across the northern half of the region. Otherwise, again, partly to variably cloudy, and as I mentioned, seasonably mild, a little above average tomorrow in the low to mid 70s. Here's what's happening right now from downtown Knoxville and Market Square, 67 degrees at the airport. Some outlying areas have already cooled into the upper 50s. We're 60 degrees here at Channel 10 in North Knoxville right now. Winds are light out of the northwest at 3 after a breezy afternoon and early evening. Pressure rising rapidly, dew points in the mid 30s, relative humidity 31%. So here's a check of those temperatures. La Follette 54 degrees, Oak Ridge you're at 58, 59 in Crossville. So again, that airport temperature kind of sticks out a little bit there. It usually takes a little while longer for the airport sensor to cool down. It seems like 50 degrees in Bryson City, a little chilly over in western North Carolina, 64 in Nashville, Memphis at 67 degrees, Atlanta south of this front still warm at 70. Yeah, we have a stationary front kind of right across the state line with Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia as far as Tennessee goes, and on into North Carolina. A couple waves of low pressure from North Carolina and Arkansas. Most of the rain showers in Arkansas, Missouri are going to track generally to our north tomorrow tomorrow, but that will give us a little bit of more cloud cover, maybe a few isolated showers passing by tomorrow. Again, not a lot expected. A few breaks tomorrow night. A second and stronger wave does move in Wednesday with a better chance for rain showers. So Wednesday is our next best chance for rain. That will slide on through. Then the rest of the week should be drier and a little bit cooler than average by Thursday and Friday. You'll see that on our 7-day. Nice night will continue tonight. Again, a comfortable start, increasing high clouds, 48 in the morning, mild temperatures, a nice late shower or two in the afternoon, 73. A better chance for scattered rain showers, 68, so back closer to average Wednesday. Then we are cooler than average, low to mid 60s Thursday and Friday, but mostly sunny. The weekend, well, not all bad, but some scattered light rain showers possible Saturday. And again, Monday, mainly dry, mid 60s for your Sunday.
All right, Todd, thank you. Coming up, a big day at Zoo Knoxville, the new campus that opened today, and just how many amphibians and reptiles now call it home.
Straight from the heart of East Tennessee, this is 10 News Night Beat.
A former Jefferson County High School history teacher faces an indictment alleging he used the internet while in a sexual relationship with a minor. Court records show Matthew Wilder's actions with a former student happened between August 2019 to January 2020. Records reveal the investigation began after Jefferson County school system officials received an anonymous email back in September. Wilder was suspended in October and eventually resigned. Policy says he had been a teacher at the school for 7 years. Dr. Martha Buchanan has reissued some COVID regulations in Knox County that includes a mask mandate and bar curfew. These rules were already in effect, but Dr. Buchanan, director of the health department in Knox County, reissued them today after County Commission voted to give her the powers previously held by the Board of Health. The mask mandate does not have an expiration date. The curfew rule is set to expire April 22nd. The new amphibian and reptile conservation campus is now open at Zoo Knoxville. That 12,000 square foot facility is the zoo's largest project ever. It's now home to 80 species, including snakes, lizards, turtles, even a sloth. The ARC aims to boost the zoo's conservation efforts to save endangered amphibians and reptiles.
You know, in the ARC, you have pulses of experiences from, steamy, heavily planted, brightly lit jungle type atmosphere to darkened galleries, lots of hands-on interactives and technology, and all of it really built to make our guests appreciate and even love reptiles and amphibians.
The ARC is now open to the public. Coming up, a final update in the shooting at Austin East High School and where you can continue to find updates. That's next.
Our coverage continues of an officer-involved shooting inside Austin East High School. We know this: the officer involved was wounded, was in surgery tonight for being shot in the leg, and is expected to be okay. The student who exchanged gunfire with officers, according to the TBI, died here at the school today. We are going to learn a lot more about the circumstances tied to this shooting in body camera evidence and more to come, certainly on that investigation. Right now online, you can read much more about it and community reaction. Right now, Robin, I can tell you this. From the scene, we have heard that this is not this community's problem, it is our problem. That's how city leaders have promised to tackle it.
Absolutely. We all are part of this community. John, thank you. And we will continue to update you at WBIR.com and online. Thanks for watching. Good night.